What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're going to be talking about WWE Rivals. We're going to watch a few episodes of it. Not sure we're going to watch all of them, probably just specific ones, but we ended up watching Batista and John Cena first. Tears and QJ, how are we doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good about certain things due to the fact like what we just watched reminded me of like good moments, irritating moments, and I feel like this one was also appropriate because QJ, one of your favorites is John Cena, and one of my favorites is Batista, so I feel like that was also very appropriate.
hmm
Yeah, very, very appropriate for y'all. I know those are, like you said, two of y'all's favorites. We did just get done watching it, so this is like fresh off our minds. So, Batista and John Cena, big rivalry. It was really years in the making. They only met up in the Rumble where they had that botch and everything. We'll talk a little bit about that in a few, but just a big time feud. Really, the two top guys. Obviously, they made Cena a bigger star than Batista, but we'll get into great detail on that. So,
Just, it's
beginning
just
part.
interesting.
I'll go through.
I just wanted to add like it was just interesting. Like yeah, this was a big feud, but they only shared the ring like one on one against each other like 3 times.
Yeah, it's
Well,
crazy.
not counting the
I'm
Rumble,
kind of
of
glad.
course.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad for they didn't fight that much. Because WWE had tendency
That's
of just
good.
doing feuds
Yeah,
for so many. Like look at
that would
Brock
have been
and
more tired
Reigns.
of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it
Like it
wasn't
was
on
one
no
of those
Brock
to
and Reigns
where
level.
it was one of those to where it felt like it was an important matchup against the two.
Exactly, because we didn't see it like every other year, every other pay-per-view. So yeah, it was good they did it like that. Beginning of the episode, they talk about the debuts: Cena's debut, Batista's debut, how they were in OVW together. That class is still unbelievable with Brock and Orton and Shelton. I mean, it don't get much better than those guys. But both of them were kind of floundering. They didn't really know how to book both of them. Both were kind of trying to find their way. They both started off with just bland and terrible gimmicks.
I feel like more appropriate way of saying it is like just over the top for Batista, and John Cena was just like he had nothing to really
hmm
connect him with people. Like it was
Yeah,
just
just
he was
different
just
color attire, pretty much.
yeah.
So let me ask QJ first. Do you think a bad debut can affect the wrestler for the rest of their career? Or do you think there's a chance they can recover from it, especially with these two? Since Batista had a weird debut, Cena good debut with Kurt Angle when he debuted, but after that it was kind of just there. So what do you think about their debuts, and do you think that can have a effect on a wrestler?
Yeah, I feel like a first impression kind of gotta really set the bar. Uh, and after that, it's like where do you go from there? It's like you have a good impression, you gotta like keep on forward with it. Obviously, the crowd won't like the crowd. You know, crowd has their disbelief. They like 50-50. So it's good that you just gotta try things, see what works out.
Yeah, especially for like debuts and stuff, you always want to see what clicks. Sometimes the debut ain't always going to be perfect. Cena's debut was one of the most memorable. It's just where they
hmm
went from there, and then Batista's debut was something. Was definitely memorable. Who knows if for the right or wrong
I
reasons, but
I would say Cena's debut was just too big of an impact for the character that they had, whereas Batista's it did not. You could just tell instantly it was not going to lead to anything.
Nah,
yeah, it was
definitely
just them kind of events, just thinking, okay, let's just do this for now and see where it takes you.
not.
So, Tears, what do you think about their debuts overall, and could that could the negative debut have an impact on a wrestler in your mind?
I think I just said what I said about like how their debuts went, whereas John Cena's was too big for the character that they gave him, and Batista's fans were just instantly able to tell that it was just going to lead to nothing afterwards. But I do feel like a debut can affect your career in the long term because it'll be like how much intrigue do you have into him. Because I'm thinking about like people like for a bad example, Matt Morgan in WWE when he tried that for a while, he was just seen as just a big dude and just never left that. He never had a chance to really make his career, and it just led him to going away, not even being remembered that he was in WWE. Whereas people like Batista, like John Cena, they can have bad debuts, but as long as they push through, like they can do better. Like even people who had good debuts, like the Nexus. They had a great debut, all 7 of them, right?
Oh yeah, great debut.
Earlier, definitely.
But you can also tell like it kind of like you can start like great as well, but it depends can you keep that momentum going or can you Like, is your debut going to be the best part of your career? Because I'm pretty sure, like, if we look at all the members of Nexus, can we remember each and every single one of them?
Nah, maybe by name, but like career-wise,
No.
no. And some of that's on
I
creative. It ain't always on them.
well,
A
I'm
lot
just
of
saying,
it's
Yeah,
like,
I
on the
blame the creative.
creators, but
I can't even remember the dude with the mask, like the face mask thing's name.
I
That's
think
bad
Michael
stuff,
Tarver or something. Yeah, I don't even remember
I'm
his
sure.
name.
probably. And then we have like the repackage, because a repackage is technically a debut as well, right?
Yeah, like they
Would we say?
repackaged a new character, a new gimmick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like let's look at Skip Sheffield to Ryback. That would be a good sense. Like a repackage could help you do a re-debut, but you're still not gonna linger over your past as well. So I think a bad debut really does affect you, but you gotta think like, can they recover from it? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, it all just depends on
Definitely work.
how you take it mentally and how you really take what creative gives you and makes the most out of it. Just depends how you go from there. Sometimes creative just gives you something so garbage that you can't really recover from it or make it nothing good. But
But they can give you a
oh,
good storyline afterwards, like to make up for it.
exactly, yeah. So it's all about how the wrestler does with it too. Batista and Cena though have had similar careers really. Both started in OVW. Batista was obviously a lot older than that class. I think he was in his early 30s, and the rest of them in their 20s. But both really had after that similar paths. Just
Trajectories, yeah.
yes, exactly trajectories. But both were completely different types of personalities. One was an introvert, one was an extrovert. Batista was not really a social. Cena was all about just being social and being with the fans and stuff. And I think that really separated. We'll get into that a little bit more a little later as well. But what do you guys think about both their careers? Do you guys see them as equal in their careers? Do you guys, see Cena being a little bit better booked? QJ, I'll start with you. Leaving your Cena fandom a little bit out the window, do you see them as similar in their careers, paths, or do you think Cena's a little bit better? How do you see it?
I guess definitely seen a little bit better, more with the what's that thugonomics. That kind of set the bar right there, and I think his career just went from right there.
Yeah, his career definitely took off. Like Batista with Evolution.
Oh yeah, my fault. Yeah, yeah. Well, because you'll be yeah, with evolution that was good too. Like you said, it's good to put people in stables. I think fans need to realize that. That helps too. Oh, who's this guy? Oh, he's in there with Triple H now. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
That
I
might be a
mentioned my
big deal.
I did mention brought that up to where like I
Hmm.
mentioned to where to trajectory stuff and also like with recovering from a bad debut is like the difference between them is like Cena was able to be his own person, like to rely on himself with the Doctor of Thugonomics, whereas Batista he helped because he became the animal in Evolution. So
Hmm.
it's really the question of can after your bad debut can you push by yourself or do you go to a group to help manifest? And they both proved the answer is yes.
Yeah, not everybody could do that. I mean, really, both of them really had to make their own way. I mean, Batista had to stand out in Evolution. When you're in a group at the
Hmm.
time with two Hall of Famers and Randy Orton was another young guy. I mean, him and Randy really had to try to stand out on their own in the group. I mean, they kind of had to sink or swim. I mean, you're in there with Ric Flair and Triple H, with the greatest of all time. I mean, they're going to get most of the attention, but it's on you to say, okay, I'm gonna make myself stand out, and they both did that. And Cena, obviously, with the Doc's Thugonomics, Bruce talked about how he was on a bus and he made everybody laugh, and he took that and ran with it, and it really made his career. Without that moment, Cena might not even be a wrestler at this point. He might be
Why not?
working. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's
And if Batista didn't get found by Triple H, he would have been gone
You
too.
see, exactly.
yeah. It was supposed to be Mark Jindrak, I think, who was supposed to be in Evolution. So that was a Triple H call to say, no, we want this guy. And I mean, it's crazy when you look at careers. Like, if one thing doesn't happen this way, it's a whole different career trajectory at that point. Like, it's just kind of crazy. But I see Cena being a little bit better just because of how WWE booked him, and I'll say why in probably the next two topics. But like, Cena just had more of a connection, I think, with the audience, and he was more over at that time period. But all in all, both had amazing careers for sure, and hats off to both of them. One of the memories that people remember the most from these two is obviously the Royal Rumble moment where they both went over the top rope at the exact same time, which, I mean, you can't botch any more perfectly than that.
Nah.
I think that's just insane.
I will say I never knew until watching this on how that botch happened. So just learning the fact is like when John Cena was going up, Batista just lost his footing. I'm glad I finally know that, but it's just like that's the funniest thing to realize. It's just like
hmm
both of them botched. It wasn't one person; it was both of them.
Yeah, it was both of them. And then Vince just came out furious and tore both his quads, and it was just
Which they
hilarious
did
at
not
that point.
show. I wanted to point that out. They did not show that.
Yeah, maybe that's because they're trying to erase Vince from history. Otherwise, they would. I don't know. But QJ,
Well,
what do you think
is
about
this?
that? Oh, go ahead, Tears.
I was gonna say, is this video old enough for that? Because I'm not too sure.
I don't know. That's a good question. It might be probably a year or two ago, maybe when they filmed it. But QJ, what do you think about that Royal Rumble moment? Would you find it funny? Did you think it kind of was the perfect scenario for both of them? What do you think about it?
I liked it. I think it's, fans gotta realize the goal is to kind of throw you off. You gotta make things less obvious. Two of them was getting to their point. So you know what? Let's have them both go out the same way, and we do a final decision. You gotta throw people off. So I think it's fine. And that now has people, and then they'll have people talking more. I like that. I like when something happens and then everybody starts talking more. So it's like, oh, hey, that's crazy. Remember y'all that moment when that happened? I don't know. Gets more invested into it.
And people still remember to this day. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I know Vince was pissed off and furious, but like sometimes it's good to have something go unexpected like that because now
Exactly.
fans are like, okay, who's the actual winner? What are we gonna do? What's the plan? Like, I mean, I want to have them both win and say they both hit the floor at the same time. They're
Mm-hmm.
both the winner.
Yeah,
Make
because
history.
they've done that before, like with Brett and Lex Luger. Like they both challenged for the championship. And I mentioned this while we were watching it, to where like, wouldn't it be simpler to just say yes, they are both the winners, and have it because they both winded up fighting their brand's major championship. Like I get like the gimmick for for WWE Royal Rumble is to have it to where like the winner can choose which title they go for, which is understandable that they want to keep that. But at the same time, if the end goal was for them both to fight for their brand's world titles, you could have just had it also be like they both were the winners. Now I can understand like at the time that was not the plan, but it would have saved you more problems and all that. But I feel like on hindsight, it was a good thing that they restarted because it gave fans a taste of what a one-on-one against them would be.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely made fans think, oh, this is gonna be a good feud in the next decade or so, maybe. Or most probably thought it was gonna happen sooner than that, but it was definitely. I think it's a memorable, but a good memorable. I know Vince tearing his quads probably take why people remember it the most. 'Cause that was like hilarious, but good moment between those two.
But I gotta ask, have we ever had a moment? Because I highly doubted that. I don't think we've ever had a double winner potential since then.
No, we haven't.
I thought I was a good call. No. Nope.
They need
Yeah,
to
because
do something more like that more
That's
often.
what I'm saying. Like,
well, I don't know if I'm asking for it to happen more often. Because remember, like if you do it more so often, because remember when Mark Henry and Big Show broke the ring, like
Then they did it
because it
with
was so
Strowman and Big
memorable when
Show and Brock. And, yeah.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
No,
like
I didn't
I
mean like do
think
it like every other year. I meant like do it like
Like
maybe
once in the
once a
blue, you know what I mean?
decade or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like once in a
I
while.
get. I just don't know how I feel about the Royal Rumble being one of those to where like there could be a chance we get two winners. Like I don't. I'm not saying like don't do it. I'm just saying like I wouldn't look for it to happen.
Do y'all like when they do that for ladder matches when double people win? I think
No,
they've done that a few times,
No.
haven't they? Yeah, it's kind of
I
weird.
actually don't. When have they ever done that?
I think they did it once, didn't they? Where two people grabbed at the same time. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. I thought they did that
I don't
before.
remember.
I. It would have to be for the IC belt. I hate
Yeah,
saying that because, but the IC belt makes sense that they would have done something like that for.
yeah, it would. So a big part of this rivalry was kind of going into the PG era when they were feuding or getting ready to feud or whatever you call it. They faced off in 2008, and then PG era started at that time, and they both
I would
really
say
just
it's. I would say it's more to see who would sink and who would swim.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like they both pretty much went two different directions. Still both had very good success. Batista beat Cena and everything. But it seemed like Cena was more comfortable in the PG era. Batista was not really comfortable character wise. He just wasn't fitting in. So, QJ, I'll start with you as a big Cena fan. Are you happy with them choosing Cena as the guy over Batista during the PG era because of everything Batista said? Cena was more connected to the audience. Cena was more, of an extrovert, all that.
Yeah, I can understand because you gotta realize you gotta connect to your audience in some way, and you do that helps out a little bit more. And now he had this face gimmick. It was good, but personally, his career has took off to the roof. But personally, I was still always like his thugonomics, especially when he went out and did down the lives. I don't know, it kind of brought back a lot of memories. I just love that thugonomics. That's just me.
Yeah, it was definitely like a more entertaining gimmick. Like I get what WWE was going with the PG because they never give up and they connects with kids and it was a
Hmm.
kids audience and Cena was like the guy who looked like a fruity pebble and had all the colors and sold tons of merchandise and had all the catchy catchphrases and all that. I mean, he made them so much money during that era. It's insane. So I get it from a business standpoint, but man, they made Doc Thugonomics is always going to be the most entertaining. But Tears, what do you
Hmm.
think about Cena being the face in the PG era of Batista?
I mean, looking at it now after that, it made sense why Cena made more like was more of a fit for the PG era and Batista didn't. Because if you look at it, Batista's character, the animal, it was just way too intense for PG. And plus, why we were mentioning that, like while watching it, I was like in my head thinking like Batista had a lot more success in the ruthless aggression era than John Cena did as well. Because like even in Evolution, people were saying like this guy's going to be the big deal. Whereas for John Cena's Thugonomics, it was just seen as like a fun mid card guy. Unfortunately, at least that's how it looked to me. Whereas Batista, he was no matter what being seen as a top guy in the future. So I would say Batista started better than John Cena. But as soon as that PG era hit, now I'm not saying like John Cena only got success because of the PG era. I'm not, and that's big coming from me, a guy who spent years like trying to belittle John Cena's success. You guys can vouch for that.
Definitely.
Um, but I would say like it really showed that John Cena was just more connected to the crowd than Batista, whereas Batista was just more of the like he was meant to be intense. He was meant to be this. So I will say, like, as soon as that era hit, it showed like what all these guys can't do, and unfortunately, Batista can't. He can't be a PG friendly character. He can't be a PG friendly guy because he's not a people person.
Yeah, and I don't really fit with the PG era. You got to be able to connect with the young audience and the audience in general. And Batista even said, like, yeah, I struggle with that. It was kind of overwhelming to be kind of just a guy in a group and now being the guy and having fans all over you and having all this. I mean, it can be kind of a whirlwind at times because, I mean, a lot of fans don't realize the mental part of it. Like, yeah, you're on posters and you're on billboards and you're making money and you're in, like Cena's case, movies and all that, but it's not everybody's ready for that. Not everybody's comfortable in that. It can hit you like a brick. I mean, it really can. And I mean, Batista just, I don't think he really wanted to be that like Cena type guy. I mean, he's never really wanted to be, and it's understandable. He just, he's an introvert, and introverts are always kind of to themselves. And WWE, you're all over TV, and you're the biggest company in the world. It's just it wasn't a fit for him. But final topic, our overall thoughts on the rivalry. So, Tears, I'll start with you. What is your overall thoughts on the Cena Batista feud?
It's one of those to where like would I say it's one of the top five greatest WWE feuds of all time? I'm gonna have to say no. But it's one of those to where like it leaves you having so much fun just thinking about it and realizing and like just putting enough thought into it, realizing like this feud meant a lot more than you would think because like these are two guys that started exactly the same, like two sides of the same coin, and just seeing like the parallels to each other because it felt like WWE tried really hard to keep them away from each other as well, and it's just like you wouldn't think like these are the two guys of a certain era that they would want to keep away. You would think like they want them to clash heads all the time, but no, this was one of those rare moments where like this was years in the making with barely any connection to each other whatsoever, and it it's one of those to where like you just gotta appreciate and enjoy for the fact that it happened. Like it's one of those to where like I can't not like respect it, appreciate it, enjoy it.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable feud. QJ, what about you? What do you think about Cena and Batista's feud overall?
It was pretty good. Um, I feel they need to do more like robberies like that. They don't have to be obviously be invested into it, but you don't need to face him all the time. All right, they'll face pay-per-view here, two pay-per-views after they'll face again. Like it won't be as repetitive. And it's like a sleeper feud. I like feuds like that because no offense, we all got tired. I know we like seeing that Randy Orton, but kind of got tired of that because they faced too much goddamn times. And after a while, it's like, all right, let's move on.
And speaking of the Randy Orton John Cena, that also helps too because I remember when they were doing the last Orton
Mm-hmm.
Cena feud, I
Mm-hmm.
heard nothing but complaints from fans, from people like Alvarez, from people like Meltzer. Like everybody was complaining about the Randy Orton and John Cena, like keep going for that feud because it would have been like the 14th time that they had a feud
Mm-hmm.
against each other.
Yeah, and I think even Cesaro like made a comment about it. He got backstage heat because he said, "Yeah, it's a feud that's been overdone." I don't know if they punished him for that or something, but he said like a comment, and they got pissed off at him for it. It's like, I mean, it's what everybody thinks. It happened so many times, that rivalry.
Yeah, I feel like once you have a really after a certain point, I feel that point with me was when they did that Iron Man match. That's when they after that match should have took a break for a while. Honestly,
Yeah,
Yeah, because wasn't that an hour
60 minute,
long?
yes.
sheesh. I mean, after that, it should yeah definitely be a break or just the end of the feud. I mean, that was a good thing about this rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
But Vince has had a tendency of, I mean, look at Brock and Reigns, for example. I mean, we saw it how
I
many
don't
Ridiculous,
want
goddamn
to.
times. I mean,
I
it's just,
don't want
ridiculous,
to.
yeah,
ridiculous.
sorry, y'all. I don't know if we're going to be watching that Rivals episode because
Yeah.
it was too recent and I don't really care enough about it at this point.
If we get
Mm-hmm.
over 200 comments asking us to do it, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, no. But
100
my
likes.
thoughts, yeah, 100 likes. But my thoughts, enjoyed the feud. Thought it was a great feud to set up the next era of wrestling in WWE, the
Mm-hmm.
PG era. There's always going to be a divide between Batista fans and Cena fans. I don't like how they made Batista look at times in this feud. I thought he looked like
Mm-hmm.
a joke at times, especially the duct tape thing. That was just stupid.
I
But
Don't
mm,
ever want to see that again.
yeah, that
Ever.
not
I will say
enjoyable.
I want to say this. Like when we were talking about like when we were at the 2008 SummerSlam, which Batista
Mm-hmm.
won. I brought this up. Like the crowd were 50-50 on them. Like instantly. Like if you did not have commentary, you would be like, either one of these guys could win. Either one of these guys are your top guy. Like it was just perfect. But for commentary, they just instantly said like John Cena is the bigger star of the two. I'm just like, no, you don't do that. You make sure they if you're booking them to be like the two top guys of your company, you don't put one or the other.
Yeah, it's like at WWE right
That's
now.
true.
Like, obviously, if they did Cody and Priest, Cody's a bigger star, but you still
Mm-hmm.
don't say that directly. Like, oh yeah, Cody's just better than Priest. Like, you got to put the other guy over too. And it's like Vince telling Michael Cole to say that right away really just hurt Batista bad. But
Like yeah, Batista won the match, but you also got to rely on commentary to help it.
yeah, and they definitely did not off the start of that match. But one of the better feuds. Hopefully, we see more feuds like in the future. I enjoyed the I Quit match. We don't really see those much anymore. Last man
Mm-hmm.
standing. Just it's good to have feuds and do different match types. I mean, it makes matches more intriguing and stuff like that. So hopefully they do that more often. Next one we're going to be doing Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, one of the greatest rivalries as well. So tune in for that.
Gonna be
Any
great.
final comments from y'all on this feud or anything before we wrap it up?
Probably just like when you think of feuds in WWE or just wrestling in general, you always gotta think of both sides. And like you can't just be a fan of just
Mm-hmm.
like when you're talking about like what is your favorite feud of all time. You gotta, in my opinion, think of like because one of my favorite feuds of all time is Jeff Hardy and CM Punk. I have spent a lot of years also not being a Jeff Hardy fan, being an over CM Punk fan. But I respect both of them in that feud as well because it felt perfect. So that's why I say, like, when you talk about your favorite feuds of all time, it has to be like, do you respect both players of the party as well?
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it. You gotta
Definitely
see
agree.
both people. That's what makes a rivalry good. There's a reason for them to feud. And yeah,
Mm.
Punk and Jeff Hardy was a perfect feud. Excellent. Q, any final thoughts from you?
It's just the rivalries, you know, not overdone, and just need to see more different match types. Because when I play the game WWE, it's like I see all these match types in it, and then when I watch this, while you watch the show, you don't see none. Really, so it's like that shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of bland sometimes. Like, really, they only do different match
Enough
types
with
at the
the
pay.
normal matches. Enough with the normal matches.
Yeah. I know they did a
At
steel
least have
cage
a
match between Becky and Liv. I know that. For anybody, or me and Q didn't know that, or me and Q didn't
Hmm.
know that. But they rarely do any match types on Raw outside of steel cage and
Yeah.
maybe Extreme Rules. But go ahead, Tears.
I was gonna say, like, at least if you're gonna do a bunch of normal matches, at least have the final match payoff be like the ones where, like, yes, this is the payoff because it's a certain, it's not, well, not a certain match stipulation, but just a match stipulation. Instead
Hmm.
of either having an A to where like all the matches that they had were just normal matches, or B, all of them were just different match stipulations, but a match in the middle or beginning is a more intense one. Because I can understand why they went for an I Quit match after the Last Man Standing match because there was so much issues with that. Because, well, Batista was still able to keep going. Like, that was
Right.
proven because of the duct tape. So it made sense, I guess, for it to be I Quit match because it would just show, like, either one or the other had to quit. Now, I would have said I still personally believe the I Quit match was just because the fan backlash of the Last Man Standing match being like that. That's just me. Um, but I see like if you're gonna keep the match going, you gotta one up the last match with a certain stipulation. Because like you can go steel cage to beat that match in for the living Becky, but you can't just have like, oh, then their next match, if they were to do a next match, be a tables match because that's not as intriguing as steel cage. You can only go like a certain type of match type afterwards. If you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you're trying to
Hmm.
upvote the other match basically. Like the ending, like if Styles and Cody have, it looks like it's gonna continue. Styles beat the hell out of Cody. Did a Styles clash off the stairs and stuff. That feud should have a match tied to the ending because there's now more meaning in the feud. Like, oh, you tricked me
Exactly.
into thinking you're retired. I'm gonna make you quit now and all that. Like just something like that would be very intriguing. But
Like you
hopefully, you
can
guys.
lead
Oh,
to it.
good.
I was gonna say like yeah, you can lead to if you're gonna do two more matches, if you do two more matches, you can have this next one be a submission match, and then the next one be a night quit match.
Yeah, that'd be a perfect setup. Hopefully, they do something like that. But we'll have to see a Clash of the Castle what the plan is. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to tune in for the next episode. Peace.